Kidnappings in the Eastern Cape have been on the increase in the last year, which has prompted the deployment of detectives who specialize in such cases in the province. Recent media reports painting a picture of a brutal practice where victims are still harmed even after ransom is paid. Having the kidnapping or have the kidnappings become a new avenue for criminals to make money in South Africa? We'll try and answer this with the Provincial Hawks spokesperson, Captain Yolisa Mgolodela, and the kidnapping incident manager at T.S.U. International, Herman Bosman. Herman, good morning to you. Let me start with you. Talk to us about whether indeed kidnappings in South Africa have become a new avenue for criminals to try and make money.
Good day to you and the viewers. Yes, we've seen a steep rise over the last, I would say, about 15 years, and specifically after COVID, where we've seen a dramatic increase of more than 50% year on year on the annual police statistics released. And it has really become a concern to me a while back already. I think when we started with a different training program already in the early 2000s addressing kidnappings, but it's not yet received the necessary attention from government, and to make sure that we address this from a structural position, not only putting out more policemen. Clearly, we have a problem now where more and more criminals view this as the way to go and to make money and also profit in other aspects.
Yeah. When you say addressing this problem from a structural point of view, what do you mean exactly?
Well, we will have to go and look at, from the executive, the legislature and judiciary, on how to address this. We cannot sit with the same laws governing kidnapping, the same prescribed minimum sentencing, the way we have the witnesses and the hostages and victims testify in court. I know there's in-camera procedure, we all know that, but we must look at how can we better this process. When you are taken hostage, as whether in a kidnapping or located hostage incident, it is severely traumatic. For you then to have to go to court and testify in an open court, and also in the process of investigation, the way it's conducted, is very stressful. And in many cases, the hostages just don't see the way to go to court and testify and stand in court doing this.
Yeah. Captain Mgolodela, you are joining us on the line, and thank you for making time for this conversation. Just describe for us how widespread the kidnappings have become in the Eastern Cape. How worried are you?
It's very worrisome, you know. It's escalating. I think it's the way people say an easy way to make money.
And in your view, what has led to this increase? And when we say these kidnappings have increased in a way that is alarming in the Eastern Cape, how many kidnappings are we talking, perhaps per week, per month, per year?
It's a lot. At the moment, I don't have the exact statistics, but it's escalating. If ever I had the chance that between January and as we speak now, we have about 50-something cases of kidnapping.
Over 55 kidnapping cases opened since January this year.
Yes.
And how are you addressing this matter? How are you fighting it?
We are having a special task team that is solely focusing on kidnapping. For example, now we do have even reinforcement from our head office, people who are specializing only on kidnapping.
Okay, and let's come back to you, Herman. When you hear that there has been about 55 cases in just 2023 alone, from January of this year up until this moment, some 55 kidnappings have taken place in the Eastern Cape. The Hawks, as you are hearing them on the line, they're saying that a special task team has now been put together to try and fight this. Are you comforted?
Well, within the resources they have, I'm sure they're doing the best. But to just imagine 55 incidents happening and the time it takes to investigate a specific incident of kidnapping, the resources you require, it's immense. I don't think there's an understanding and a comprehension of that. The incident doesn't stop the moment the hostage is released, and then it's the end of the investigation. It continues thereafter. And when the other cases happen, the first case is still investigated. So when you're sitting with 55 cases running very, very close to one another in a period, as indicated, 6 months, it is a very, very difficult position to be in with the number of resources and specialized investigators focusing on kidnapping, and specifically kidnapping with extortion together with the kidnapping, not even talking about the other type of kidnappings that we have. Only these type of kidnappings and what it takes to present that to court is definitely something that we have a problem with as far as resources and trained experts in that field is concerned.
Yeah. Captain Mgolodela, there is something very worrying with the picture that's being painted in the Eastern Cape, especially when we look at media reports. They suggest that even after a ransom is paid, people or the victims are killed. Those people are obviously kidnapped. Those people are still killed. Are those reports true?
Well, as for fatality, I'm not informed of that. But what I know is that some, they end up coming back injured also. A case of fatality, we are not informed of that one.
All right, so you're not seeing the brutality of them. So when the media says these kidnappings are brutal, what do you mean by that? You seem to be agreeing that the victims are brutalized.
When they come back, some are injured because they are trying to instill pain on the victims such that what they want to achieve is achieved.
Yeah.
So at times the victim would try to fight for himself and gets injured in the process.
Herman, what do you think the kidnappers are trying to drive home here? What's the message being sent by brutalizing those who are held captive?
Well, I think we need to understand there's various types of kidnappings. And the motives also complement whether they will be brutal or not. So we must look at it holistically. In many cases, you may have a situation where there's a prior history between certain groupings in society, where there may even be some hatred, and then there may be violence used against those that's taken. In other cases, you may have the conduct from the hostage, or even those that's managing the incident that may affect negatively on the hostages at that point in time, when those that is taking care of them may act out towards the hostages. So there may be many factors contributing to the situation that we don't know about, or even conflict within the kidnapping grouping in itself may lead to violence being portrayed towards the hostage. So the duration may have an impact as well, and we must not underestimate also what is sent out on media and how it's been portrayed in the media, how that may impact on the actual kidnappers that is active in doing this very, very cowardice and bad deeds to society and to people that's completely innocent and that cannot defend themselves. But everything that's going out may impact, and we must be very cautious, specifically during an active case, on what we say about that specific incident at that moment in time.
How should the media try and report responsibly around it then?
Well, specifically when an incident is live, as we're currently having live cases across the country, the moment that you, on that specific incident, make a comment about that specific case that does not favor the hostage takers or kidnappers' view of it, may aggravate how they act out towards the actual hostage at that point in time. There may also be conflicting reports, and it may then seem to them that those that's negotiating and trying their best, whether it is private consultants or the police negotiators at that point in time, may then look to be liars and not really honest in their negotiations, and which may be completely wrong. It may just a perception created. Also on social media, all these messages going out and followed by them may negatively impact and influence wrongly on those that's taken hostage, and that we so dearly try and have a successful negotiated settlement reached.
All right. Captain Mgolodela, let's get a final word from you. What's your advice to people about avoiding being the next target, and who might you say is actually being targeted?
What I would like to say to the people is to be vigilant all the time. Anyone can be kidnapped any time. More especially the kidnappers, before they actually commit the conduct, they make their investigations. They know who has a financial muscle, whom they can attack. So it's wise to be at all times vigilant, more especially if you are a person with a financial muscle, be it an ordinary person who's working or who's self-employed. That one, you should by all means be cautious.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your time. That's the Hawks spokesperson in the Eastern Cape, Captain Yolisa Mgolodela. Also, my thanks to Herman Bosman, who is the manager at T.S.U. International.